welcome to my allotment. Today I'm going to be talking about squashes and pumpkins and when you should be harvesting them, and also common conditions of powdery mildew. So if you've not already subscribed to my channel, if you could please do so, because you'll get lots of helpful hints and tips from my home garden, my home kitchen, and of course my allotment. So first of all, when do you harvest? Now I harvest the bulk of mine towards the end of October, before the first frost. You want to try and get them in before the frost because that could damage them. They'll take a little bit, but not too much. And because it's so open here, I always keep an eye on the weather. So all depending where you are in the country, it's worth keeping an eye on your weather to see when that happens. But for me, it's towards the end of October, about Halloween time. So about the right time, if I'm honest with you. So you can pick them a little bit earlier. But if you were going to pick them earlier, personally, I would only pick them if I was going to eat them straight away, because generally they've not hardened off enough and they won't store very well. And I want my pumpkins and my squashes to last me all throughout the winter and into the spring. So if we take a look at a few examples here, I've got some pumpkins here. Now these definitely aren't ready because they're still part green, so they've not turned fully orange yet, so they're definitely not ready to harvest yet. If we move over to these pumpkins, now these pumpkins are lovely and orange now, and if I wanted to eat one of those now, I could pick it now, but because the stems have not died off, I'm not going to be harvesting them just yet. Same with my Turk's turbans. You know, the stems still haven't died off enough, but out of all of them, I would say my Turk's turbans are the closest ready to being picked. So if I want to eat one, these will be one of the ones I will be picking now. So some other squashes I've got as examples. I've got two types of spaghetti squash. Now these have not gone yellow enough yet, so these are not ready to harvest. This one is a different type of spaghetti squash, and that is a bit more yellowy, so that maybe is a little bit closer. But again, the stems still aren't died off enough, so I won't be harvesting them yet. And I've got a little butternut there, which is very green indeed, so definitely not ready to be harvested. And I think that's a little acorn one there. And again, you know, the stems aren't dying off at all there. So again, I'd only pick that if I was going to eat it straight away. I've got some other squashes around here as well, if I can find them. I've got a little dumpling, which I've got to say, this is one of my favourites. They do store incredibly well, they really do, and they really are quite lovely. But again, very green stalks here, so I definitely will not be harvesting those yet. And I've got various other butternuts and little dumplings all spread out amongst here, which aren't ready to be harvested yet. So something else I do is I put ground cover down because it stops the weeds and it keeps the ground moist underneath. So I will put a link in the description if you want to buy some, and I believe it's on offer at the moment. So I use the same bit every single year and I move it from spot to spot. It's got holes in it where I plant them, and it just makes life a lot easier, a lot less weeding, and it keeps the ground moist underneath. Now, one of the other common conditions that people talk about is powdery mildew. Now, you shouldn't panic too much because generally speaking, you always get a little bit of powdery mildew every single year, and provided it's not too bad, it really doesn't do that much damage to the plant. So as long as it looks like your squashes or your courgettes or your cucumbers are growing really well, I wouldn't concern yourself too much about it. The reason it happens is because often the ground dries out too much and then it gets waterlogged, or people water on the leaves, which is why I have a cane where I need to water, so I don't water on the leaves accidentally. But best will in the world, you'll often get some on the leaves, so you just have to do the best you can. So something else people talk about is, should I be trimming them off when I've got so many squashes on a plant? Personally, I'm not growing show pumpkins or show squashes, so I just let my squashes run wild, and all I do is just try and pull them away from growing onto places I don't want them. But I generally don't cut them off unless I really have to, because one of the best tips I was ever given was just to let them do their own thing and you'll get a better crop as a result. And since I've done that, that's exactly what I've experienced, so I just leave mine be. So the way you deal with powdery mildew, if it's not too bad, you can just leave it. The other way is you can cut the leaves off, and I've already started cutting a few off over here. as you can see. So you just get some secateurs and trim the damaged leaves off, only the damaged leaves off, and then you dispose of them. You either burn them or you take them away. It's not recommended that you put them on your compost. So I will just go through the patch and I will remove any that are damaged. So this is going to take me a little while. So I will finish doing this job at the end. The other way you can help is you can mix a solution of 1 part milk to 9 parts water, and you can spray them on the plants. You do it in the morning, not in the evening, and that can help to try and stop it from getting any worse. And you can do a couple of applications. Personally, I don't do that, but that is something that is available to you, and it's a natural way of dealing with it. Or you can just trim them off like I do. So I really hope this has all helped so you can grow some successful squashes. You'll know how to deal with powdery mildew, and you'll also know how to harvest and when to harvest your squashes and pumpkins.